Hi there, I'm Scotty. I'm a practicing witch and a professional tarot nerd. I'm glad you're here. I wasn't going to do a New Year's spread video this year. After all, I did one last year. But to be honest though, at the moment I can't recall what inspired me to do this one. But here we are. Before we get to the spread, let's talk about destiny for a minute. I don't believe in destiny. Not really. You ever hear that nothing is certain in life except for death and taxes? That old saying has been around since at least 1716, but it was made famous by Benjamin Franklin. Anywho, I don't really believe in destiny, not in the common usage of the word at any rate. Yeah, our mortal end is pretty certain, but between now and then, a lot of stuff happens. And during all of that happening stuff, we mere mortals make lots and lots and lots of choices. Sometimes we approach things like a kid stacking blocks. We start off with a general idea and go to stacking. And sometimes things work out and we build ourselves a little castle. And sometimes it all comes tumbling down. Other times we try to plan ahead a bit to figure out our next moves. I like chess. I'm no master of the game by any stretch of the imagination, but I do okay. Chess grandmasters can see many moves ahead, maybe 15 or 20. Best I can manage is maybe 3 or 4 on a good day. When it comes to life, sometimes we try to plan ahead. But as in chess, when we make a move, it changes the game. Best we can do is try to plan for what comes after every move. But unlike chess, the pieces we play with in life don't have neat and tidy rules of movement to follow. Always in motion is the future, a venerable sage once said. I said all that to say this. I don't believe that we have a destiny in the way that most folks use the word. I do think, however, that we can take a look at the sky and make a decent prediction about rain. We can't stop the weather, but we can prepare for it. To that end, when I do future readings, it's with the goal of seeing a few more moves ahead, back to my chess analogy. I like this quote from an article I found on Mashable a few years ago. There's a link in the description down below. There's a fundamental misunderstanding of tarot online. Tarot is a form of divination, but the cards don't predict your future. They offer guidance to help get you there. More than anything, tarot is a catalyst for self-reflection and mental clarity. One last quote before we get to the spread. This one is from Holistic Tarot, a positively massive book on the tarot by Benebell. Fortune telling serves no benefit. Purporting to predict the future with certainty is detrimental to the seeker. It diverts the seeker's focus from the present and the seeker's own spirituality and redirects it to a purported future outcome through the superficial and the material. The seeker becomes disabled, passive, and simply waits through life for a supposed future outcome to come about. Worse yet, if the future predicted is negative, the seeker may dwell on it to such an extent that it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. This harms the seeker more than it helps. Giving credence to a prediction might disable your willpower, especially when you're young or naive. Don't use the tarot only because you want to know what will happen next, or you might lose sight of what is happening now. Instead, use the tarot to understand why and how. You influence your future through action and attitude, not through cards. Today I'll be using the Pulp by Todd Alcott. I chose this deck because it has a nice blend of the modern, the classic, and the campy, and I just like it. Now, this spread is actually a blending of two different spreads I developed previously. One is a spread designed to take a quick look ahead and is where we get cards 1 through 3. In fact, this part comes from one of the spreads I detailed in my New Year spread video last year. There's a link to that video in the description. Cards 4 through 7 come from a spread of the day spread that I developed for one of my workshops. When thinking about a preview spread for this year, neither of those seemed quite complete, but together they felt just right. Does that mean that the two spreads used independently aren't correct? I don't think so. They both serve their purpose well. Peanut butter is good all by itself, unless of course you've got an allergy. But jelly's good by itself too. But they sure do go well together. If you don't have a peanut allergy. And don't go thinking that you can only use this spread for the upcoming year. You can use this spread for any period of time you'd like. Today, this week, this month, you get the picture. After all, time is an illusion. Lunchtime doubly so. Don't panic. Card 1 is the overall theme for the year. I use the idea of themes quite frequently when I'm reading. It's a good way to sum things up and provides a focus for attention. And in this spread, it gives us an idea of what the rest of the cards will be discussing. You might get a theme of finances or relationships or something else. Card 2 is what we bring to the year. It takes a look at our talents, our tendencies, or our attitude. Card 3 are the outside influences. This card provides some insight into what we'll be facing outside ourselves, which can influence our lives and over which we may have no direct control. Card 4 is what's seen, what we know, and is a look at our mental or emotional state. This card can point out where we might need to reconsider or foster our own approach to things. Card 5 is what's unseen. Let's draw this card from the bottom of the deck. That's a technique I use when I want to see what's going on behind the scenes, so to speak. This card represents the unconscious influences which motivate us and can call us out on our own crap, or at least point to some things going on inside us which we don't typically think about. Card 6 is what to remember, something to keep in mind throughout the year. This can be seen as a kind of motivational phrase or a reminder. Card 7 is what to let go and represents something that we need to let go. Sometimes it's our own ideas or attitudes which we hold on to, which can hold us back. Each of these positions can be seen to be interrelated to all of the others. After all, our lives are chock full of moving parts, and each one has the potential to influence the others. When I look at a spread, one of the first things I look at is how the cards feel to be connected to one another. Now, you could throw these cards with an open mind, if you'd like, and get yourself a general overview, or if you prefer, you can focus on a specific area of your life and go from there. Normally, I prefer the general overview approach because I believe that sometimes the answers we need aren't to the questions that we have. But that being said, for today, I'm going to focus on a specific thing, my little channel. Now let's give this spread a go, shall we? Like I said earlier, today I'm using the Pulp by Todd Alcott. This one, it's got a nice box. It looks like an old pulp fiction kind of book. And my focus is going to be sort of what might the year bring for my little channel here. Now, a lot of folks will deal everything face down and turn them over one by one as they go through. Some folks lay the cards down one at a time and just talk about them as they go. I prefer to lay everything out face up so that I can review what's there before proceeding through everything else. I remember this card here is I just drew that one from the bottom of the deck. That's a behind the scenes kind of look. Now, all of those methods of laying the cards out are perfectly valid. It just depends on what works best for that reader. And sometimes the spread itself will dictate a method, depending on what the spread is looking for. So here, the first thing that I notice is all the fire and the water. We've got 3 cups. We got a couple of wands, and this justice card here obviously has some fire involved in it as well. What that tells me is that there's a lot of moving energy. Water and fire are very moving kinds of energies. And with all of that water and fire, we might get a little bit of steam as well. Let's see what it brings for us. So on our theme, the Page of Pentacles here, first thing that strikes out, it's much like any other Rider-Waite-Smith cards, but she's looking out at this thing, and she's dressed nice, but she seems kind of proud of that one little pentacle she's got. Or maybe this is something to be proud of, something that she grew. In the background, we do see those farms. This has a sort of fire and earth kind of feel to it. It has a sense of endurance and completion and following through. Oftentimes I talk about the pages being sort of like the teenagers of the tarot deck. A lot of times when we're teenagers, we don't necessarily think everything through, but we tend to approach it with a lot of energy. With card number 2, this is what I bring to that situation. I also like to sit in my comfy chair with a good cup of coffee. Good for her. This card has a lot of water in it. I tend to associate the queens with the element of water. So I have the water of water. This has a deep emotional sense and a lot of intuition. Now, since we're looking at the idea of the channel, I'm pretty emotionally involved in this thing in a lot of ways. I enjoy doing this. There's also a sense of obligation to the folks that actually take their time to watch the stuff I do. And it's a weird emotional relationship. It's a lot of fun, but it can be anxiety-inducing at times as well. For example, this is like the 10th take on starting this because my dogs just wouldn't shut up, and I just had to keep restarting it. Ooh, that was anxiety-producing. And I do tend to approach what I do here in an intuitive way. There's not always a lot of rhyme and reason to what I do here. I just kind of go with the flow, which is a very watery kind of thing. With these external influences here, with this 2 of Wands. Now, a lot of times when the 2 of Wands shows up, it talks about making choices and planning, especially when in this here, when he's looking at a globe, like, where am I going next? And 2 is often about those choices, and the Wand is very much a fire kind of thing, a transformative thing. But right now, this card has external influences, a feeling of choices being forced upon me. An example for that is things coming up in life that get in the way of doing what I want to do with this, and having to make choices to handle things as they arise. Sometimes life throws us a curve, and our choice is to handle it. With card number 4, that's the what's seen thing. We got the 7 of Cups. Cups being that water thing are often about emotional stuff, but I get the feel from this that our friendly turban-wearing guy here has a lot of ideas rolling around in his head. Well, I certainly have a lot of ideas when it comes to doing stuff here. A lot of different things I'm thinking about. And for me, the sevens often are about some sort of movement. Maybe dude here is talking about putting those ideas into action, maybe. But maybe he's having a hard time choosing. So as the what's seen thing, mine has the feeling of having to make some choices for myself, perhaps in an intuitive kind of way, but definitely to kind of put some things into motion and get things going. For our unseen issues, we have justice reversed. The justice card often talks about having to make hard choices, acting in ways that might not be what we want to do, but need to do. But in this deck, has more of a sense of action and motion to it. Because in a lot of decks, the justice character is seated. But here, she is standing up, and she sure enough looks like she's getting ready to kick some butt. But it being a reversed card in this position, the unconscious influences, maybe it's more of a sense of inaction, resistance to making choices. Sometimes, well, I need to do this thing and I need to make these choices, but I'd really rather sit here and read this book or watch this TV show. So sometimes the hard choices that we need to make are the ones to move our own tail and take action for ourselves. Combined with the card number 4, these kind of vibe. I do sometimes waffle on decision making, wanting to plan stuff out. And with this card number 3, the external influence is forcing these choices. It could be that indecision is not a good idea. So for card number 6, the what to remember bit, we've got another page, the Page of Cups. Now she's at the beach and she seems to be having a good time. She's taking her fish out for a little walk. Although I don't much care for the beach myself, my general vibe is somebody having a good time. I associate the pages with the element of fire itself. So the fire of water, I relate it to concepts of instinct, which I differentiate from intuition, which is more watery, like our Queen of Cups over here. So the thing to remember is to remember to have a good time, enjoy what I'm doing, and keep it fun. And with card number 7, our final card here, the what to let go, we have the 4 of Wands reversed. This deck is interesting in this card. It often shows a party or a celebratory theme, or things like that, and this card is really no different. But I do like how each one of these 4 wands is different. They're not all identical. And then each one has this little glowy thing at the top. And those colors correspond with some of the traditional correspondences of all the elements, implying that even in this fire card, wands is that element of fire. Even in this wands card, all the elements are at work. So is the fact that this card is reversed tell me to let go of the idea of having fun? Well, it told me to remember to have fun over here. Or maybe the idea in my head is that all this is just work and I should let go of that notion. Or is it a little bit of both? Moderation in all things. Let go of thinking it's all fun and games, but don't forget that it can be fun too. Thinking about this card in the context of the theme, there are those fields in the back which imply an idea of work to me. And the idea of all the elements being present here can be a reminder to stay balanced. So overall, kind of what I'm going to take from this is, the next year is, as far as this channel goes, not going to be too different than the previous year. Maybe I won't have a 6-month hiatus in the middle of the year, but that I do need to remember to just kind of keep things going, keep things rolling, and make some choices, take some actions, keep on working, sit in my comfy chair with a cup of coffee, but make sure that we keep working. Thank you for spending some of your time with me today. If you've enjoyed your time, please like, subscribe, share, and comment. And here's hoping all of you have a wonderful year this year. I'm Skaji. Safe journeys.